ethics and integrity. And that is the reason why we are here today. We are going to be discussing issues regarding the moral fabric of this country and, of course, the ethics that we are looking at in this country. Many times we've had challenges in any area, and people have always alluded to the fact that there's a lot of moral decadency in this country. Many have said people are no longer ethical. Looking for men and women of integrity is no longer something very easy. That's why we are seeing corruption, we are seeing murders, we are seeing bribes, we are seeing rape. Mention any evil, the bedrock will still be ethics. Now, he's here to talk about not only the ethics and morals of this country, but also tomorrow's event. A big major event, the first of its kind in Uganda, and that is the Ethics and Morality Conference. That is the first of its kind in this country, organized by the Parliamentary Forum on Ethics and Integrity, where happens to be the chairperson. Join me, welcome Honorable Dr. Sabuto to our studios this morning. It's a pleasure having you, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's really emotional that I should be here at UBC. Many years ago, we did our best to amalgamate Uganda, Radio Uganda and Uganda Television, which gave birth to what you see today, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. And so it's my joy, coupled with emotion and an understanding that, frankly, we are moving on. When we started, things were not as they look today. Places encouragingly expanded, cleaner, and I do believe that really the sky is the limit as far as UBC is concerned. I want to congratulate those of my old friends I was with at Nakasero when I was Minister for Information and Broadcasting, and later on, of course, Minister for Ethics and Integrity, and now Member of Parliament. To see them here continuing to serve this nation is a reminder that it's not all lost. We have people who continue to be the kind of seed this nation desires. You know, there's a bad seed and good seed. And our determination must be, Ugandans, to be good seeds. Good seeds produce. You harvest. You feed on what you've grown. You sell. You preserve some for the next season, and they're a good seed, and we should continue being good seeds as Ugandans.
And of course, I must say the people of Bufumbira must be lucky to have you, Bufumbira East, as their Member of Parliament, because we believe this amalgamation led to a good seed, and here are the fruits of that.
Well, they've been very kind, and clearly they do remind me that what this country needs are leaders who are not politicians, but statesmen. You see, a politician's eminence is about self-interest. But a statesman thinks about his country, national interests, and I'm glad that our people chose me. I do think that it's essential. The country's ability to succeed will depend on the choice of people you put forward. And I appeal to voters always to look for character, to look for integrity, to look for skills, to look for experience. That combination gives the best for this country, and my people have done that.
Well, now let's go to the topic of discussion this morning. Doctor, when we talk about morals in this country, you were once a minister in this department, ethics and integrity. How would you, when you hear Uganda of today and someone is speaking in that line, how would you rank the moral fabric of this country?
Oh, it is quite frightening. It's frighteningly discouraging. And if we do allow this situation to continue, what we are seeing is a possibility of our nation clearly becoming more unstable, becoming insecure, becoming less productive. And the result of that is that you have a nation which is weak, a nation which is exploited, dominated, oppressed, and indeed we will not be able to realize our ideals. And so the issue of morality is fundamental. It is morality values, moral values of honesty, of integrity, of care, of responsibility, of respect, of hard work, of transparency, of accountability. Those values are what a country needs to be able to reach or go to a higher level of economic, political, and social development. The absence of moral values, those set of values, when you don't have those set of values informing citizens in their actions, in their relationships, when you don't have those values, no amount of investing in infrastructure, investing in the kind of things we need will yield results. And therefore, there is an intimate relationship between the values of society and the extent to which you honor them, you practice them, and what you deliver. The reason I'll give a simple example. The reason we now see lots of potholes in our roads is not because government hasn't invested in, put a lot of money in road construction, rehabilitation. No. It's because those who receive the money don't use it for the purpose for which it is intended. They lack integrity. They lack values. They are not trusted. They don't care. You see, it's those values, therefore, that deliver what we expect. In other words, insistence on physical infrastructure like roads, hospitals, schools. It's very good that we invest in them, and government has done very well. But what has lacked is failing to invest in the moral infrastructure, ensuring that those values are very rich in citizens, rich in officials. They inform what we do. They govern our relationships. When you are morally upright, resources government gives you to undertake a certain task will be eminently exploited in the right way. But the absence of that is a cause for concern, and no amount of investment in other areas will give us what we need as long as moral infrastructure is not given due attention, because it is the mother, it is the one that births everything else you can think of.
Unfortunately, we've become so complacent where the abnormalities in our society today seem to be the normalities, the normal way of doing things. It is now simple that a bribe is something okay. It is now very okay to move on any street in any mushrooming or developing urban center and see ladies of the night well paraded. You know, if you moved out of UBC around 10, 11, just right now, you see them parade and no one is shocked anymore, because any place you go to, they'll still be there. But well, I'm also joined by Honorable, that is Timuzigu Michael, who happens to be a member of the Parliamentary Forum for Ethics and Integrity that is behind the organizing of an event that is going to be happening tomorrow. That is the Ethics and Morality Conference at Core Ceremonial Grounds. This is the first of its kind in Uganda, and we'll be deliberating more regarding that. But Honorable, you're most welcome, and thank you for turning up.
Thank you, brother, and I'm happy you have mentioned that it is going to be the first of its kind in this country. And I do believe it might be the first of its kind in East Africa, in Africa, and I am not sure whether it is not the first one in the whole world. So I'm happy to be here to indicate that we are really working hard as Parliament to make sure that there is sanity in our country.
Well, Honorable, one would say, when we talk about building the moral fabric, there is a scripture in the Bible, I don't know exactly it is, but at least I know Dr. Nsabuturo, for that time I've been following him, is also very good when it comes to theology. He's a very well-educated man in his faith, that says, for all have sinned and fallen short of God's glory. Sometimes when I look at our country, I wonder who. Someone once said, I think we need to go back to the days of Noah, where maybe God can destroy the entire with the floods, and when we have a new crop of people So when you talk about building the moral fabric of this country, how should it be done? One would also say, is Parliament the right group of people to begin this? And I put this to you because many Ugandans, when I move around, not all Ugandans, believe that now Parliament. Anyway, I put it to you, my guest this morning.
Actually, nobody should underestimate Parliament. Because there is no way someone can do something unless that person has thought about it. Now it is Parliament which has thought about it. The Forum on Ethics and Integrity has thought about it. And therefore, we have the passion. And where there is a will, there is a way. So we don't have to wait for judiciary, we don't have to wait for executive, we don't have to wait for local governments or even church leaders to come out and say, we are going to do this. Because it has been our revelation. We are the first people to get that revelation. And therefore, we have to take it forward so that the rest of Ugandans can come and join us. So nobody should
question the moral authority of Parliament.
Nobody should underestimate the capacity of Parliament to do this, and nobody should underestimate the moral authority of Parliament. Because if we can come out as a forum on ethics and integrity, and we say, no, this is too much, and we are going to organize, we are organizing a conference, the first of its kind in Uganda, and most probably of the first of its kind in the whole world. So why should we be underestimated, and why shouldn't we be trusted? I know members of Parliament, when you talk about a member of Parliament, people think this is a thief, this is a liar. But I want to tell Uganda, some members of Parliament are not thieves. Some members of Parliament are not liars. The same applies to the executive. The same applies to judiciary. The same applies to local governments. You hear money has been stolen in districts, but some chairpersons, LOC5, some chief executive officers are not thieves. But it happens because they are not the only ones handling money. Therefore, Ugandans should welcome us as members of Parliament as we organize this, and even every year they should always come with us as we talk about this. And I do hope that as time goes on, we shall have people to even give testimonies about how they have been immoral, for some time, but how they have changed, even how they have changed. Again, we expect people who have been suffering under corruption to come and give testimonies. People have to come and repent. It is even our job. So we are not going to stop as members of Parliament. And I don't want to overemphasize the capacity of members of Parliament, because we are going to work with the executive, we are going to work with the judiciary, we are going to work with the security forces, the religious leaders, all Ugandans. We are inviting all of them. Let's check ourselves. If you find that you still have the moral fiber, let other people borrow from us, such that we can set the fire to burn immorality. Because fire was set to increase immorality. We don't know when it started, but as far as I know, immorality is as old as mankind. Because in Eden, God told Adam and Eve that don't attempt to eat this fruit, and they ate it, which means they disobeyed. And from there, disharmony started, because they were now hiding off from God. So it started during that time. God has been reminding us to do the right thing, and we are doing the work of God.
Now, I love the fact that you said Parliament has begun this. Dr. Nsababuturo, Parliament, your legislators, will you make the laws? And I know sometimes what is morally right could be legally wrong, or what is legally right could be morally wrong. But why have you chosen to to look at the issue of morals and integrity, ethics, than saying, let's push for effectiveness of laws. Because one would say that maybe some of these laws, if they're implemented, they would partly or on a bigger note answer the fact on regulating society. We just push for more laws that look at, for example, if you're talking about corruption, you make these laws if they're implemented. I know our laws, much as sometimes we disguise under they are weak. If we look at the spirit of effecting them, if you look at holding these people that are supposed to influence them, if we look at fighting discriminative way of enforcing justice, I think this could relatively answer the question than saying legislators going into something that maybe one would think is for cultural people, one would cultural leaders, another for spiritual leadership of this country. I'm building basically the family unit.
Well, first of all, just allow me to go back to the question you put to my colleague about Parliament. The truth of the matter is there's no part of our society that has not been affected by this situation of immorality, the decline, degeneration of values in society. They have affected the church, they have affected families, they are abundant in workplaces, they are everywhere. In other words, the entire society is facing imminent danger, where the absence of these values that bring society together, that give society an identity, that create order, that are responsible for our security, they are the basis of our security, of our stability, of our prosperity, and so they are so fundamental. And what is happening now is that the degeneration or decline is affecting everybody. And Parliament is no exception. No wonder the other day you saw a member of Parliament, an honorable, in brackets, punching a police officer in public. You don't do that. You don't do that. But he did it. A year ago, too, we saw members of Parliament fighting inside Parliament itself.
I'm even told that there are many women that line up there where members of Parliament are absentee fathers and they're not taking care of these children.
So all sorts of things are happening there.
They're fathered with these young girls.
They are happening there. Why? Because of increasing absence of these values. You see, values are standards. They are principles. And society must have standards, must have do's, must have don'ts. Just like your family. Your children grow up knowing, oh, my parents won't like this is the right. So we need that situation to prevail in our land.
Then, Doctor, then the question would be, this sounds to be an uphill task, Doctor. It seems it is an ocean, and we only have a 5-liter jerry can to pour into this ocean, to dilute it.
Right.
It's a very difficult task if you're to talk about rebuilding the moral fabric of this country. Doctor, what is your strategic plan? How are you planning? Because we've far gone to the dogs. I'm sorry to use that word, but many will concur with me. When today you see every developing city having prostitutes as a requirement, when today you see corruption being the order of the day, when today you find people watching pornography, when we have in our media, on social media, when every institution you can talk about has been damaged and destroyed, when the family as the unit, the most vital unit of any society, has been destroyed. Today we have women that cherish being single mothers. We have men that cherish being single fathers. Someone can go on camera and say, for me, I want to be just find a woman, give birth. We have women who will tell you, I don't want to have any man in my life. I want to have children. When fathers are selling off their children, you know, everything, I don't know where, but every bit of it, any service in any public office, you find you have to part with something. So where are you going to begin from?
Well, you've forgotten to mention the disaster of men marrying men.
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous, but it's there, and some people are beginning
the LGBT movement.
That's right. clearly. And my view about that is that this country must never accept that nonsense. They use it, of course, as a human right. But if that is so, then what will happen is everything else will become a human right.
And for me, I get confused how the West says polygamy is evil, but homosexuality and lesbianism is a right.
You see, that's part of the confusion going on, selfishness, arrogance, clearly, that what I believe in is what you must believe in, and the country must say no to that nonsense. But your description of what is going on in the land is simply perfect. But the point is, if we do not arrest it now, then you can expect a worse situation. A situation where completely it will be chaotic, lawlessness, instability, insecurity, more poverty. They will prevail. And when a country has those factors, it's a perfect candidate for weakness. And when a nation is weak, it's dominated by others who are more organized, who are stronger. And so it's, we are saying, yes, we admit these things are happening, clearly. And tomorrow's conference will completely articulate what is going on in the land. We shall not be pulling punches. Tomorrow's event is about a nation which is looking inside itself to say, wait a minute, things are not what they should be. What can we do? That is what tomorrow we'll be doing. It's not a political event. It is an honest effort on the part of us to say, look, wait a minute, we can do something. It's not entirely lost. We have individuals who still have a heart for this nation, who want to see a nation that is stable, prosperous, united, secure. We have people who desire that that is the case. And those are statesmen and women that this country desperately needs. And so, what we hope to do is to appeal to the conscience, because it's a heart issue.
Yes.
When you choose to be a thief, when you choose to abuse office, when you choose to do wrong things, it's a decision that is internally born, and therefore it's a heart issue. We shall be appealing to the conscience of the nation. But we want to go ahead and also say that those that God has given positions of leadership must use those positions. We must agree as a society that these are the dues. These are the standards. These are our principles. Anyone who violates them must be punished. We've been very weak at that. We don't punish. And the message has gone out that, oh, it's possible to do evil. It's possible to steal.
It's only been selective justice.
And you'll get away with it. Once you give that message, clearly what you are inviting people to do is also to join in. That if I can't beat them, I will join them. And that's what we want to say, no, there is a better way. Tomorrow's conference will be an honest effort on the part of those who care for this country, to look at what we should do. First of all, what is going on? And you've mentioned a bit of that that is taking place in our land. The question is, do we let it go, or we do something about it? I believe that tomorrow's conference will really generate a desire for this nation to say, wait a minute, if we are going to prosper, we have got to be tough. We have got to invest in the infrastructure of morality, giving prominence to these values, rewarding people who have integrity, who are honest, who are upright, who are respectful. And that way, that is the way to go. Finally, on this one, the reason Japan is ahead of Uganda for years and years, or even South Korea, is not because they have natural resources we have. And they don't have, remember, they don't have resources. Immensely blessed this country is, huge resources. But we depend on them for grants. They don't have the resources we have. We have resources, but they have one thing in common, and that is morality. Officials there know that if you get out of line, systems are there to catch you and punish you. And so the message there is that everything you do whatever level you are at, be informed by these values. These values determine the way you dispense resources you are given, the way you treat others, the way you work. The reason these countries are ahead of us is they have taken values seriously. We have not, and we are paying the price.
Well, well explained. We cannot just look on and say we've lost the battle. We must have a starting point, and this is what the Parliamentary Forum on Ethics and Integrity is determined to do, starting with tomorrow's conference. But Honorable Timu Zigu, don't you think we may simply win battles but lose the war? Because I've most of the time seen a bit of a crack the whip in this direction, then whereas the other direction it is continuing. So who are the people that you're targeting for this conference, and how do you think that there will be agents of change after this conference, and not just saying now today I think prostitution is on an increase, tomorrow LGBT movement, then we've picked on pockets. And yes, maybe sometimes we've been able to win these wars, these battles, but not win the war.
Thank you so much. I am happy you are certain that we shall win battles. But I want to confirm to you that we shall also win the war. Why? The immorality we have in Uganda has been perpetuated by a number of committed people for so many years. They have been preaching their negative gospel for so long, but for us we've been quiet. So now we have come out to speak, and as we start to speak, that means those who have been preaching immorality will get weaker and weaker, and we are not going to preach as if we are preaching for an occasion or a season. We are going to continue. And how do we do it? We start from ourselves. You know, being moral is a sacrifice. Being moral is a sacrifice. Being immoral is associated with enjoyment. People enjoy, immoral people enjoy. But at the end of the day, the society they are living in loses cohesion. So there is no permanent benefit, and we must fight on. And when we are dealing with the leaders, you see, we are going to start with the leaders. Leadership is taking people where they have never been. And if we can take them to a nation that is moral, that is free from immorality, then we are moving. I am telling you that we are not going to lose the war, because we are starting with the leaders who have been taking people to where they have never been, which means immoral leaders have been taking people to the world of immorality. And when we have moral leaders, it means they will take Ugandans to the world of morality. And we are fearing nobody. All Ugandans, we shall tell them, to the extent that I will not fear myself. I'm starting from myself. I have to first evaluate myself. Tell my friend, tell my colleague. So if I cannot fear myself, because for example, I have brothers and sisters, they want jobs. They would want to say, we want jobs. You tell Honorable Sababuturo to give us a job. A job is not given out like a piece of bread. People have been giving out jobs like pieces of bread. You call a friend or relative, here there is a job. Within 2 months they have failed. They can't do the job. Now, I have to start from myself. If my brother cannot pass an interview, then I have to prepare him to do private business, to make sure I do not deny another person a chance. Secondly, we've been buying jobs. In Uganda, people buy jobs. And when you buy a job, you eat it. I'm a member of parliament. If you ask $1 million from me to buy a job, I can afford for my brothers and sisters, for my relatives. But if I, as a leader, desist from buying a job, who will buy the job? That means people with merit will get the jobs. And therefore, when we start with the leaders, absolutely we are going to win this war, starting with the battles you are talking about. And within a few years, we shall be counting a number of milestones. We are not going to sit. And the good thing, we are not looking for money in this conference. And if you consider the way we have spent, someone yesterday was asking me how much have you spent to find out whether we are also extravagant. We are not. Our budget is surprising. Actually, when we were making a budget, when we were booking tents, chairs, people were getting surprised. How do you get a tent at this much? Because some people bargain upwards. You know, government officials bargain upwards. And business people bargain downwards.
Downwards, yes.
Moral people bargain downwards. Immoral people bargain upwards. And that's what Honorable Sababutura was talking about. The potholes in the city and elsewhere. We bargain upwards. We say, you have come from China. If you want 3 trillion to complete this road, you just ask for more 2 trillion for me. In that case, you are bargaining upwards. So we are starting with this conference to indicate to the whole world that we are going to win not only battles, but the war.
Well, allow me to go for a very short break. I'll be returning and we'll be continuing with this very interesting topic of discussion. This morning, I know many listening are wondering or watching us and are saying, Sababuturo and Michael, honorables, what are you doing to us? Many say we condemn immorality when we don't benefit from it. This is an industry, I must even call it an industry, that has employed people. People have brothels in Uganda here. They get these young girls and they make a fortune out of them. People are running some funny businesses during the night. Others are so much in drug trafficking. Others are so much, you know, immorality, or when you talk about immoral things, they're not only interesting, funny enough, they have a very strong financial connection to them. When you talk about LGBT today, you know, globally, these are people that have money and are influencing things to happen. Yeah. I saw during this current World Cup in Qatar, I was watching international medias and I got confused. Most of the journalists were interviewing, so they were so concerned. How will their rights, we allow them kiss on streets, we allow them move handling each other, and I'm like, how does LGBT be very, very important, this movement, at a time of World Cup? You know, but like, if we can't have this, we'd rather not have the World Cup. And I'm like, save me, Jesus, help me understand this situation. Coming back home today, you will see this is a group of people who have so much wealth upon them. So you're tackling something that is a very hard nut to crack in all aspects of immorality. Go to corruption, go to just habits, fun, interesting, and with money. But they are saying it's just the parliamentarians to crack the final whip. Let's return for this break.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution, or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone, or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312-206-400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
We are the DPF. We protect your money. Protection Fund of Uganda.
The Ministry of Health informs the public that there are confirmed cases of Ebola in Uganda. We, however, urge the public not to panic as the situation is being managed. The Ministry of Health further reminds the public to be on the lookout for any persons who may show signs and symptoms of Ebola. These include high body temperature, abdominal pains, diarrhea, vomiting, bleeding from the body openings such as the nose, eyes, and mouth. Please inform the nearest health worker immediately if you see anyone with these signs and symptoms. To prevent Ebola from spreading further, please take the following preventive measures: regular washing of hands with water and soap, avoid handshaking and hugging, avoiding any contact with any suspected Ebola patients. Any person who dies suddenly should not be buried but reported to the nearest health worker or LC1 immediately. For further information, please call the Ministry of Health toll-free number on 0800 100 066 or send a free SMS to your report on 8500. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and World Health Organization.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back. It is still UBC TV and this is Good Morning Uganda Extra with a special edition that is on ethics and morality of this country, where tomorrow we are going to be having the first of its kind in Uganda at Koro Ceremonial Grounds, which is going to be, specifically focusing on morality in this country. And I want to guarantee you we are very excited because for the first time we are going to be having in this country, which we believe will be very impactful, that is going to be the Ethics and Morality Conference. I love the theme. The theme is moral values, the bedrock of Uganda's stability and prosperity. The bedrock is the term that I've liked so much here. Of Uganda's prosperity and stability. But honorables, the two of you I have here, in this struggle, don't you feel like you're lonely wolves? Do you think what you're selling out is easily digested, understood? I want to give you an example. One time, I was able to cover a function. It was called the Anti-Corruption Walk. That began at the Constitutional Square, many call that the Square, up to Kororo. And within me, yes, the band was there. His Excellency later gave a speech. We had T-shirts, people were marching. But inside of my heart, I was like, are we doing this for ceremonial purposes? Are we at the bottom, the in-depth of our hearts, having conviction that if I've been extorting, if I've been benefiting from corruption, that this work, because it had a good theme, it was very passionate, and now when we were at Kololo, the late Speaker of Parliament made a very moving statement that I hold on up to today. He said, Your Excellency, we are all corrupt. We are doing this for camera. We are doing this for showbiz. But the moment we move out of here, we are going to go back to the same corruption people have bought. There are people you find, he's dressed in corruption, he's built from corruption, he's wedded from corruption. Corruption is him. The people you find, they have built from immorality, they have wedded from immorality, they are dressing immorality, you know. And maybe for such a function, if I had an invitation, I would smartly come and be part of it. If you're looking at self-examination, do you think this gospel, whatever you're propelling, can sink to the minds of people, or you're just lonely wolves in this struggle?
We have 2 or 3 types of Ugandans. The first type are those who really, genuinely, passionately care for their country, who know that at one time things were better than they are today. At one time, a public servant would work passionately for his country or her country. You may not find that today. And so there is that category that has hope. Looking back and knowing what man is able to do, we can change. Man is able to change on conviction. And so that category is there. The second category is of those who know, but because they are benefiting from what is going on, they don't care. And so in their foolish way, they continue to amass things they will leave behind at one point, but they don't care. And so they're in the business of grabbing, amassing, acquiring, and that spirit has taken them over them, and it is in control. So there are those who are under the control of that spirit that wants you to steal, to amass, to be careless, and whichever way you use amass wealth, there is that category. The other one is of those who clearly understand what is going on, but feel powerless. Powerless. And that's where you seem to be, my brother. Namely, that look, things are really bad, what can I do? And they give up. So that category of Ugandans who are giving up, that category of Ugandans who are saying, oh my God, what can we do? We believe that with persuasion, they can change. And our view is not all Ugandans are in that messy situation of immorality. There are quite a number who clearly are not, who would want to see the country eminently rise to higher standards of economic, social, and political development. And so it's those we want to work together, and it's not a monopoly of one group, it's a collection, clearly. You find them everywhere. We need to come together. And I believe in government, we have those individuals. We need to come together. Families, in the church, public sector, and so on. There are those people, and if we pull together, we will be able to gain back the country and ensure that we're able to move on informed by these values. It's easy, it's possible. What we need is that those who are like-minded should come together. Get the support of the media, because the media in many ways has been captured really by those who are in the business of promoting immorality. You mentioned the issue of prostitution. We no longer call them prostitutes, we call them sexual workers, sex workers. And that's very nonsense. They are harlots, they are prostitutes, they are doing something not acceptable under normal circumstances. But society giving up,
Some refer to them as ladies of the night.
That's right. Sanitizing really what is an evil and clearly not acceptable. That's what we want to arrest. If this sliding is going on, we want to say, wait a minute, stop this, reverse it, and promote what we know is good for our country. It is possible.
Well, very interesting. This is a bitter pill to take as Ugandans, but we must take it. Now, Honorable Yozuka, as we want now to focus in these remaining minutes on the conference itself, who are expected to attend, if you're at liberty to disclose who is the chief guest and how can the rest follow?
Thank you so much. Our chief guest will be the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and we have invited all members of Parliament. We have invited all ministers, because all of them are members of Parliament, but again, we invited them as members of the executive. We have invited the judiciary. We have invited religious leaders, leaders of academic institutions, the business community. We have not left behind any sector. But we have invited around 600 people to make sure that all the SOPs are catered for. But all Ugandans are invited on TV and on radio, because what we are going to say on that day is not only for 600 people, it is for all Ugandans. And we believe we have so many people out there who will work with us as we fight immorality in this country. And mind you, we must remember the power of one. Before I came in, Honorable Sababuturo was here. And if I had not come, he was going to continue and do a good job. Therefore, even if he remains alone, the war will be fought. Even if I remain alone, the war will be fought. But that doesn't mean that we are only two. Behind us, members of parliament, we have quite a number who are working with us. And in the whole country, we believe we have a massive number who are going to join us as we fight immorality.
Yes,
just a
Doctor,
correction,
say yes.
really. The chief guest is the First Lady of Uganda. It was originally the President, but he wasn't available. And what a choice we have of the First Lady being the chief guest. Clearly,
I know she's very passionate about
she's
morals.
very passionate, and clearly she, in our view, a very perfect choice for being the chief guest. The Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Annette Among, Triple A, we call her, Right Honourable Triple A, is the chief guest, the host. She's the host, and the chief guest is the First Lady. The guest speaker is none other than Dr. Reverend Canon Joel Senyonyi, who will be speaking on a title, Audit of the Ethics and Morality of Uganda. He's giving an audit, an account of where we are, where we have been, where we should go. And the conference halfway will split up into committees, one on education, another one on health, on family, on media, on public service, on law enforcement, on business, on parliament. And Honorable Fred Ruhindi will be chairing that committee. Each of those have been given chairpersons. Honorable Justice Ochola Ogola will be for judiciary. Honorable Justice Ochan Raf will be for public service, and so on and so forth. So those will give us a detailed focus of the immorality obtaining in education, in media, in family. A family will be there with Stephen Langa in education. A friend called Chaze will be there. The former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mr. Dway, will speak on law enforcement, and so on and so forth. Bishop Were will speak on religion, and in the context of that general topic of decline in morality. The purpose is to give us a way forward, to give us a synopsis of clearly what is and what should be. And the task will be afterwards to ensure that what we follow up on what we have done. Our intention is to make this conference an annual event. So this time next year, God willing, we want to do the same. Every year, do the same. Invite the country to sit down and look at itself and set parameters and decide clearly what to do with those whose purpose is destruction of our society. Those who are eminently thieves in our society, we want to say, wait a minute, stop being foolish. You're actually sowing seeds of self-destruction. You may not see it now, but your children will test it. And we desire to put this country on a trajectory of stability, of unity, of security, prosperity. That's where Uganda should be. That's when we shall be on talking terms with Japan and South Korea, the way we are not at the moment.
Well, time is not so much on my side, but as we wind up, Honorable Michael, can I have your concluding remark regarding that is issues of ethics and morality in our country?
Ugandans, we are happy to hold the first conference on ethics and morality tomorrow, 29th November 2020. You must mark that day, and I'm inviting all Ugandans to shun immorality, because it has never benefited anybody. As far as corruption is concerned, for example, when you steal money, you've stolen your mother's money. You think you have stolen government money, but there is no human being called government. Government is made up of all Ugandans. You've stolen your mother's money. You've stolen the money of your mother-in-law. your father-in-law, your children. So let's desist from immorality because it doesn't benefit anybody. Because you steal money today, your relatives tomorrow will come to you looking for support because you have stolen government money. You end up giving it out. And at the end of the day, you fail even to give to all of them. Some of them remain cursing because you gave some and left some. So let's leave government money and let it be used effectively for this country to live in harmony.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Dr. Your parting shot.
Oh, mine really is to appeal to Ugandans to realize that our own existence as Ugandans, our ability to have a country that is stable, a country whose citizens are united, a country that is secure from all ways, a country that is prosperous and therefore able to realize economic, social and political development, a country that is eager to belong to nations that are more prosperous, more developed. And we are capable of doing that because the resources are there. So the only way to get to that level is by exercising those values, ensuring that they inform what we do, what we say, how we relate with other people, and that way, clearly this nation will move faster ahead. Now, the truth is, even if we continue pumping resources in construction, in whatever industry, even if we do that, we are not going to realize much until we have attended to the moral infrastructure. The absence of values are the ones that are leading to substandard service, to injustices, to inequalities you see. If we want to get rid of all those, people need to go back to accepting that we have to be morally upright. Uganda will be able to rise and shine to a degree we've not seen before as long as we accept that morality informs our way of life. That is the appeal we are going to make, and we believe that God will do the rest. I want to thank UBC for giving us this opportunity to share with our people. And we thank God for this amazing grace that is linking all those who are like-minded and want to secure this country. We must not allow our country to be captured by forces that don't care about anybody, that desire to see us continuing to be underdeveloped, oppressed, exploited, and that's not the way we should go.
Well, I want to thank you so much, honorable members of parliament, Dr. James Nsababuturo, who happens to be the chairperson of the Parliamentary Forum on Ethics and Integrity, and of course, honorable Michael Timuzigu, who is also a member of this committee. Well, I know there are many Ugandans there. I'll just give you a very brief story that makes me believe there are many Ugandans there. In my profession, one time, there was a case at CID Chibuli. So there was this city tycoon, I won't mention the name. So CID was investigating, and they discovered that on his account they had deposited 100 million meant for Chiruhura district. So they call this person to come at CID and report, think for interrogation and all that. When he came with a group of people. And when the media came, this person, as he was entering the interrogation room, their role was to bribe the media not to publish any story. But how I knew that there are still people of integrity, by then CID was under Grace Akuro. As we were still analyzing, what is the situation, I received a call and she said these words, Kirabo, tell your colleagues not to be tempted. That is evil money. It will have a curse. Please do not be deceived to keep this under the carpet. And I think the few communication we made, journalists now were moving away from going to the other group. I only realized this man later had fainted. We saw an ambulance driving him out of CID when he has fainted and took him for treatment. I don't know where that ended. But I want to conclude with a scripture in the Bible that says, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. What a man sows, so shall he harvest. Today you may be benefiting from immorality, but tomorrow your daughters, as you're running a breath hole, they're going to be prostitutes in that. You may steal the money meant for treatment, but your relatives will have accidents and they are dying before even an ambulance is there to take them to hospital or even rush them there. Have a lovely day. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. What a man sows, so shall he reap. See you tomorrow, God willing.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.